All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics, where each and every month I send in 4 comics to PGX to get pressed, dry cleaned, graded, signature verification if needed, and grader's notes added to the back of the slabs. Made a deal with PGX over 5 years ago. I've been doing it ever since. Love doing this. It's a way for me to get 4 books graded for free, except for the fact that I have to pay for the shipping and everything, of course. They get a benefit because they get some advertisements. So hopefully, if you've never tried PGX before, you will give them a try. Check out their website, pgxcomics.com, and you will get all the information you need as far as prices and time of return, etc. So there's a benefit for them for getting the advertisement. And there's also, I made sure there's a benefit for you, because if you want to try PGX and send in 10 or more comics, use the code We Love Comics Free Press. They will press one of your comics absolutely free. Just make sure you indicate which particular book you want pressed. Otherwise, they'll just randomly pick one of the 10 plus that you send in. Also, if you want to add grader's notes to the back of the slab, that was my idea, and I love the fact that Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX, actually took me up on that. If you use the code We Love Comics Graders Notes for $5 per slab, you can have the Graders Notes printed right onto the back of the slab. I love that they do that. I wish all the grading companies would do it, but they're the only ones so far that put them on the actual slab as an option. So check out the links in the description of this or any video. Also, a reminder before I start showing the comics, there are still 10 comics left from my auction out of the 20 originally for sale. I made a video the other day showing the 10 that are left, so if you're interested, you can contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. I put the email address into the live chat. All right, so with that out of the way, and also stay tuned for another video right after this, because I also have my separate video that I do, so it will be in a separate video. When this one's done, I'm going to end the stream and start up a new video, so it won't be on this particular stream you're watching right now. So just go to my channel, and literally within 2 minutes of this video ending, I will start the other video. But that one will be my 2 EGS comics that I'll be sending in to get graded. So let me put on the video camera, and I already see a couple of people are here. Out of the 5 people, 2 have already hit the like button, so thank you for that. We got Life is Good is here. Always good to see you. You hear almost all the live shows that I do. Junior Agayo, forgive me if I mispronunciated that. Welcome. He says, good morning. Sequential Geek, another one of my regulars. Always good to see you. He says, look at that picture. Oh, yeah, that's one of my AIs. I just did like 4 baby old-looking aliens. So they're old baby aliens. So if you like my AI art, all of my thumbnails are original art that I do. Always love to hear your opinions of them. I just like making weird stuff sometimes, so it really has nothing to do with comics, except for the fact that you'll notice one of the things I do in these thumbnails for these particular videos that I do, there'll always be 4 of something. So that's it. If you want to comment on it, that's great. We got the Everyday Non-Expert, always good to see you here, followed by Gotham City Comics. So hello. Sequential says, holy poop, just in time for Halloween. There you go. That's what I'll be dressed up as. Or basically that's what I look like when I wake up in the morning. So there we go. Don't get them wet. All right, so let me put on the video camera. I will show you the 4 books that I'm going to be sending into PGX to get graded. And like I said, make sure, and we don't need that, make sure you check the description of this video for any of the information. But like I said, if you send 10 or more books into PGX, use the code We Love Comics Free Press. They will press one for free. And if you want to get the graders notes added, it is a feature you can add. You don't have to do it, but it's a $5 charge per book. Use the code We Love Comics Graders Notes. They'll put them right on the back of the slab if that's something you want to do. All right, so as usual, I will tell you the significance of a book, if any, the price I paid for it, and my predictions for what I think the grades are going to come back as. Keep in mind, since PGX does in-house pressings and dry cleanings, I am basing the grade on not the way the book looks now, but what I think a pressing and dry cleaning will do to the book. This first book, I don't think is going to need a pressing at all. I already have another copy of this book that I bought already graded from CGC that was a 9.9. So this, I believe, because of the cover, this could be a 9.9 or a 10. But we'll find out once I get it back. This is Civil War, issue number 1. This is the Aspen variant, which is one of the rarest of the variants from the Civil War. It is signed by Peter Steigerwald, or is it Steigerwald? Peter Steigerwald, forgive me, and the late, great Michael Turner. So I already have one of these yellow label CGC 9.9. Now let me show you the other signature right there. It's in silver, so it's hard to see. But I know what Michael Turner's signature looks like. I have a couple of his certified. So obviously I can't guarantee it raw, but if you know what to look for, I can with great assurance say that this will come back verified. Because like I said, I have a couple of their signatures already yellow verified, and the signatures look identical. So either it's a incredible forgery or it was the actual people that signed it. I got this book years ago. I paid a grand total of $110 for this. I'm saying it's going to be a 9.9 or a 10. Because this book is in perfect condition. Now, it could get damaged in the mail during shipping. It could be damaged if they take it out. You never know. Or there might have been, like page 16, might have had a little crease that I did not see. A book that I believe is in this high grade, I am not going to open it up and risk anything bending. So, if there's some kind of little bend in page 4, I'm not going to see it, because I don't want to risk opening it up and putting any kind of creases. Especially when I think, in my opinion, it's going to be a 9.9 or even a 10. Like I said, this is almost like a cardboardish kind of cover. A lot of these are high grade. I've seen, I think maybe one of them, I think it was unsigned though, was a 10.0. But like I said, I have a 9.9. So this one could come back in a high grade. Even if it comes back in 9.8, I'll be perfectly fine with that. Remember, PGX does in-house signature verification, in-house pressings and dry cleanings, so it doesn't have to be shipped anywhere else where something could get lost or damaged or delayed because, you know, you have to take a couple of days to send it to different companies. They do everything in-house. So I love Michael Turner's art. Like I said, I mean, you know, obviously the Civil War movie is come and gone, but that doesn't mean these books will not have value, especially the Aspen variant, and especially signed by Michael Turner. And like I said, it's also got Peter Steigerwald's signature back to back. It's just harder to see because it's written in silver. So for $110, I think it was worth it. If it comes back a 9.9 or a 10, you know, that's going to be a nice little return, even though, you know, like I said, the movie's already come and gone, but, you know, books like that will still retain their value because that whole series is a great series. So if you haven't read them, it's a great series to check out. Now, obviously, I wouldn't spend money on the Aspen variant just to read it. You can get the regular variant or the regular covers and read it and not spend as much money. But to me, you know, I collect comics for the most part for their intrinsical value at this point. I spent the 80s and 90s reading hundreds of comics in my lifetime, and now I'm using them for investments. That may be something you're interested in or not. I'm not here to tell you how to collect. I'm just sharing my experience. Next one. This is a book we already know, unless something changes, this is coming to the MCU. From what I understand, I think the strike is over. Let's hope they learn from some of their mistakes. That remains to be seen. But this is a book, again, does not need a movie to have value, but it will help increase it for a little bit. Secret Wars, issue number 8. You all know this is where Spider-Man gets his black suit. Now, they did not mention Venom at the time, but I remember reading this as a kid. A great story where basically there's fighting and his suit gets torn, so he needs a new suit, so he goes into this room where they say there's a machine that makes costumes, and this black goop comes out and forms this costume, later to find out that eventually this becomes Venom. So this is a very key issue, and you can see there's a signature there. Another great late by Stan Lee came with a certificate of authenticity. Now, what does that mean? Who knows? But I'm going to be sending it in to get graded. I have lots of Stan Lee signatures. It looks legit. It definitely looks like later in life his signature. But I paid a total of $252, which is ironic because Amazing Spider-Man number 252 is also the first appearance of the black suit. So how ironic I paid the exact amount for Secret Wars number 8 at $252. Seller, when I bought it, said it's high grade. There is a little non-color breaking dent in the top right-hand corner. So pressing should fix that, but that does not guarantee a 9.8. Again, when books are in high grade, I do not risk opening them up to check every single page. So if page 18 has a pen little dot in it or something, I won't know about it, and that could affect the grade. But I always say for higher grades, between about a 9.4 and a 9.8. Even if it came back a 9.2 with Stan Lee's signature, I think I will do pretty decent, considering they are going to have the Secret Wars coming to a theater near you soon, and soon being in the next 2 to 3 years, depending on production. So I thought it was worth taking the chance on for this. Stan Lee signatures are always hot. It usually graded, it's going to give you more, but a Stan Lee signature tends to bring the price up of a comic of about $100 to $125. We all know that Stan Lee's signature is not rare, but you can't get him anymore unless you already bought him, because he has unfortunately passed on. So, again, worth taking the chance on for that, but there's always a risk. But make sure you know what you're doing. Like I said, I have several of Stan Lee's signatures that have been, CGC yellow witnessed, and you compare them, and you make your best judgment on a purchase. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, but every single, knock on wood, signed book that I've ever purchased and sent in to get graded has always been authenticated and always come back as genuine. I've never had any grading company, and obviously you can only send them to CBCS and to PGX for already signed books. I've done it to both, and they've always come back authentic. All right, so we'll see what happens when I get them back in about a month and a half. Next two. This one's not really a key, although it does have a first appearance, but for the price I paid for it and what the value is of this book now, definitely worth to get graded and protected. This is Hulk number 3. There is a first appearance of the Ringmaster, but I don't think that's ever going to become anything of interest. It is the 3rd overall Incredible Hulk, and the 2nd time that the Incredible Hulk is green. Because remember, Hulk number 1, he is gray, and it is Hulk number 2 where he first becomes the Green Hulk. So this is his 3rd appearance and 2nd appearance as the Green Hulk. Mid to lower grade for this book. I paid a total of $205 for this book. I actually, when I had my flea market, I was trying to sell it for $550, and no one wanted it. Even if this comes back in the lowest of the grade that I predict, I'm glad I didn't sell it for that price. And that's the beautiful thing about buying comics that have potential of investment, that if they don't sell right away, sometimes a year or 2 or 3 years later, sometimes it takes 10, 20 years, depending on the book, the price could go up incredibly high. I mean, you could get a New Mutants 98 10 years ago, probably in the dollar bin. You can't now. Same thing with Amazing Spider-Man 300. 15 years ago, you could have... I had my signed Todd McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man 300 that I bought the day it came out, went to the New York Comic Con and got it signed by Todd McFarlane, myself. And about 20 years ago, I tried to sell it at a yard sale for $25. Nobody wanted it. I guarantee you, if I put it for $225, people would line up with the money ready to hand it to me. So it really depends, and that's why I love when I do my auctions. If a key comic doesn't sell because somebody doesn't see the potential of where it's going to go, they usually rise in price, so I'm glad this did not sell for $550. So I paid a total of $205 for this book. I'm predicting about a 3.5 to a 4.5. It could potentially get as high as a 5.0, but I'd rather be lower in the grade and it end up being higher than to have it the other way around. So first Ringmaster, that's not really going to do anything. It's an early Incredible Hulk, because remember that the Incredible Hulk, when it came out, was not popular at all, and they actually stopped it after 6 issues, where he went to Tales to Astonish with Ant-Man until issue 101, where they stopped it, changed it back to the Incredible Hulk at issue 102. So to get the first 6 books, definitely worth taking the chance on, but again, it always depends on the price that you pay. Life is Good says, gotta run, Chris. Have a good day. You too. Thank you. All right, last but not least, we'll do it quick just in case if he's still here. Incredible Hulk number 2. This is my second issue of this. This is absolutely a 0.5 because it is missing the back cover. But for the price I paid for it, it does not matter. This is why I tell people sometimes you could make more money on a lower grade book than you can of a higher grade. Would I love to have Hulk number 2, which is the first appearance of the green version of Hulk, second appearance overall? Would I love a 9.0? Sure. How much do you think I'm going to have to spend to buy it if I didn't have it raw? How much harder is it going to be, and how much longer is it going to take for a book of that price statute to sell on eBay? A 0.5, anybody can afford it. And especially, like I say, low grade is better than no grade. Whether you have a 0.5 or a 9.8 of this book, you still own it. But lower grades mean cheaper price, which means more people that are likely to purchase it. And this is one of the things I tell people all the time, and why I don't understand why people get so afraid of investing. If you watch my auctions, just check out the last auction I did on last Sunday. I had maybe 37 people at its peak that were watching, and probably average maybe 15. I ended up selling 10 of the 20 books. So it doesn't matter if you have 50 million people watching or 50 million people interested. It only takes one person who buys it that matters. So people have the wrong concept when it comes to investing, because they're so afraid, oh, well, you know, I might not be as popular, so I might not get as many views. Well, who cares? If you have one person interested in what you're selling, that's all that matters. So you could see in my channel's example, my channel is nothing like it used to be. Years ago when I lived in New York and I actually trusted people on the internet before I found out that 90% of them screwed me over just to get their own clout and made up rumors about me that were just not true, that people believe still to this day, I had thousands of people watching my live video streams. Now, as you could see right now, I have 10. So would it be great if I had more people? That means more potential people to bid? Sure. But I can do another auction next week, and I can guarantee you at least a minimum of one sale, if not more. And like I say all the time, most of my sales come after the video has already been uploaded. You don't need thousands of people, so don't be intimidated by what others do because they seem to be more popular. If you're selling one comic, only one person can get it. Now, there might be a bidding war, but who knows? If that person that's doing part of the bidding war is just doing it just to play a joke, well, then it meant nothing. So don't be intimidated. But this is Hulk. Like I said, Hulk number 2. I spent a grand total of $300 on this book. At a 0.5, I can easily, as of now, double and triple my value of this book. It's what you pay for it that matters. And if somebody offered me, and I'm not selling it right now, but somebody offered me $600, which is definitely a good price for a Hulk number 2 these days. Go look at what the 0.5 will sell for. I could still double my money. So, again, it always is based, yes, is nicer grade going to be more desirable to some people? Absolutely. But can everybody afford even a 5.0 of this book? How about a 7.0? How about a 9.2? Most people are going to be out of that price range. There's going to be more people in this price range. The people, see, one of the things I like about the lower grade books is it's the people that tend to buy the lower grade books have more of a passion for the character or the comic, because they're willing to get a physically undesirable book and still be happy that they own it. I do tend to find, and there's always exceptions to every rule, so I'm not going to generalize, because most people do that and fit everybody into a category. But of the videos I've seen from people who just absolutely have to have the highest grade, they care, from what I've seen, and this is my opinion, they seem to care more about the grade than the actual comic. And I find if somebody is to buy a book like this and get excited about it, they're happy to own the book, regardless of what it looks like. It's like being a kid that, when they first turn 18 and get their driver's license, and they get their first car. Now, who wouldn't want a 2023 Ferrari? How many parents can afford that? You, as if you were 18, would you be able to afford that if you had a regular job? Well, what about the kid who's 18 and for the past 2 years was doing a paper route or maybe working at a fast food restaurant, saving up their money, and came up with $2,000 to buy a 2002 Hyundai Santa Fe that's beat up but running? That kid would love to probably have a Ferrari, but might be excited that they actually owned and spent their own hard-earned money on a car that may not be the best car in the world, but they're still excited that they get to drive and it's theirs. Or when you're in your early 20s and you are able to afford your first apartment or able to afford your first house. It may not be, some country waterside villa in Italy. It may be a rundown work-in-progress house, but you're still proud that it's yours. So to me, I find people that tend to want to get lower grade books, on average, and like I said, there's always exceptions, tend to be more excited about the character and owning the book regardless of how it looks. And I'm one of those people. I own 2 copies. The other one I think is either a 3.0 or a 4.0. And this is a 0.5 with a missing back cover. The front cover is loose, but the interior is complete, and I paid a total of $300 because no one else wanted it. I love when people don't want lower grade books, because like I said, even in this grade, you think I can't make money on this when I spent only $300? And I didn't spend $300 10 years ago. I bought this maybe about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, because I know I was in Florida when I bought this. So maybe it might have been 2 years ago, but let's say between 2 and 3 years ago, I bought this book. So you don't think I can make money on this book at $300? I promise you I can. So lower grade, you're going to be able to sell them faster. So you're not. I mean, if you have a 9.8 of this book, God bless you if you have a 9.8 of this book. That book is probably going to sell, let's just say, $400,000. Do you know how long that's going to take to sell if you place it on eBay? How many people may look at it? How many people may watch it but never buy it? That means, and let's say out of the $400,000, let's say you spent $300,000 on it. So now you have $300,000 that you cannot spend because that was invested in the book. Now you're waiting for it to sell. So that $300,000 is in limbo waiting for a transaction to happen. I will trade and sell these every day, no problem. If I had one of these and spent $300 on it on a 0.5 every single day, I would have a sale every single day and double my money. Now, it would take me a lot longer to make that $100,000 that one book would sell, but what if that book takes 10 years to sell? Because the one book that I'll mention all the time, it is still on eBay, and it's been there because they have to they either keep it, I don't know if it's listed every 10 days or they just have it on a specific timeline as far as time is concerned. But I know since I moved to Florida and before that when I lived in New York, Superman 1 through 6, I believe, and eBay has been trying to sell that. I think it was like, at this point, I think it's like $295,000. I know it was at one point years ago about $550,000. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. But that set of Superman books, be it iconic, some of them are restored, some are not. Mid-grade books. I think Action Comics #1 is it? Yeah, Superman issue #1 is a 6.0 restored. #2 I think is either a 5.5 or a 5.0 unrestored, and the others I don't remember the grades. But that has been on eBay now for over 5+ years. So, is it nice to own those books? Absolutely. But if you're trying to make money on those, and nobody's buying them because they can't afford them, all that money you spent on them is now in 5+ years in limbo doing you nothing. Rethink the way you invest if you're doing it for investments. And like I've said repeatedly, anybody that is getting their books graded is only doing it for one of 3 reasons. They're either doing it because they want to protect the book, they're either doing it because maybe they want to display it on a wall, or they're doing it for financial reasons. Because you can't read a slab book. And if you want to read a comic, not for nothing, you could buy its reprint. If you only care about the story. And that's why I've seen people back in the days when I would tell people, and I still to this day tell people to buy multiple copies. And there are people that would say, oh, it's people like you that buy the multiple copies that make it harder for me to get one so I could read it. Okay, why do you need to read the original copy when there are reprints that you could probably spend $1 on? If you only care about the reading of it, why don't you get a digital copy of it? People are strange in certain ways and they don't think about other options. And that's one of the things I try and educate people with. So like I said, there are 12 people watching and 8 people out of the 12 like it. So almost everybody that watches my videos, as small amount as they are, like my videos and like what I say. So it's not about popularity. I'm not going to tell you what everybody else does. I'm not going to go with what's trending. I'm not going to mislead you because it might affect my revenue, because as you can see with 13 people watching, I'm not going to get a lot of revenue. I think I make about $1 to $3 a month in ad revenue. So it ain't about the money. It's about teaching people to think for themselves, to do their own due diligence, do their own research, and think outside the box. Don't be intimidated by somebody that may have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of comics or own a comic book store. That doesn't mean everything they say is to be taken as a religion. Don't be afraid to question people. And that's what I try and teach here. So, is Hulk #2 at a 0.5 for everybody? Absolutely not. But I love that because that's what allowed me to be the only bidder to buy this book for $300, which people at the time I bought it laughed and said I was crazy. Go look at a 0.5 graded book, lowest one sold, and you'll see it sold for a heck of a lot more than $300. So, as they say, he who laughs last laughs best. And I'm not here to try and rub it in anybody's face or anything. What I'm trying to say is there are always deals out there. Don't let somebody that needs a 9.8, otherwise their life is ruined, and will resend in a book 100 times until they finally find the one grader who'll give them the 9.8, make you think that books like that have no value. If I spent $1,000 on it, there's not a lot of wiggle room. But as I say, when it comes to investments, do not base it on where it's been. Do not base it on where it is, although you can see some trend lines from that. You can get information from that. But you really want to base it on where is it going? Where is it going to be? And that, to me, is the fun. Because if you watch my videos, every video I've ever made since about 2017 when I re-uploaded my second We Love Comics channel, because I shut down the first one because I was just tired of when I found out people I thought were my friends were lying to me just and admitted on air that they were doing it just to get views. I have every video that shows the price I paid, and you could go back if you want and then look at the auctions where I've sold them, and you'll see I've made some really good profit without trying to oversell something. And that's why when I do my auctions, I always tell people, verify the prices so you could see I'm actually selling them lower than the lowest sold without any taxes from eBay. Because I could sell them for higher and probably still sell them. It just means I'm making less profit. Because I don't need to take advantage of people. I'm not going to sell it. Let's say a book sold the lowest at 300 and the highest at 1,000. Well, I'm not going to say I'm going to sell it for 700 because I can, because it's still lower than the top. I'm going to sell it at 295. That's just me, because I don't need to make that much profit. It's any profit you make is not a loss. So I could, like I said, if this sells for 1,000, I could easily sell it for 800. Somebody will be happy that they spent $200 less than what the lowest price was available, and I still made my profit. So it's all about not having to be greedy. Knowing what you're doing, having confidence in what you're doing, and not being intimidated by other people who may have just nothing but 9.8s because that's all they're willing to settle for. There's nothing wrong with it, but if it's not something that resonates with you, then why would you listen to the advice of somebody who is not going to be doing what you would like to ultimately do? And that's, I think, that one of the things that people forget about when it comes to investments, because a lot of times with any investment, and I'm not just talking about comic books, I'm talking about anything, a lot of it is based on emotion. I never base things on what's trending, what's popular, what everybody else wants, what everybody else thinks. I base it on what I feel is going to be most beneficial for me down the road. And that's why, for example, and it's another book I tried to sell for $1,250 at the flea market, and nobody wanted it. Most people probably didn't even know the significance of the book. I paid a total of $400 for this book. This is World's Finest Comics #2, which is the first appearance and first time the World's Finest comic was ever called World Finest. And that's the name of the book until the day the series ended. The original book #1 is called World's Best. So World's Finest, where everybody knows that name, this is where it started. I bought this book for $420. I could easily sell it for this $1,200 now, but that was a couple years ago, back in 2019, when I had my flea market. You just got to know what to look for. You got to put in the effort, and you have to not be afraid to pounce on something, even if everybody else said, "Oh, you're crazy for doing that." And I've had many people say that. My Amazing Spider-Man #1 is a 0.3, incomplete with a facsimile cover. I think I paid $300 and something for it. Even in that grade, it's still worth $900 to $1,200 and rising. People laughed at me when I bought it. My graded CGC 0.5 restored Fantastic Four #1. So CGC, even though it's a facsimile cover, gave it a 0.5 restored because it had a facsimile front cover and the wrong back cover. So somebody took a Silver Age back cover and put it on this Fantastic Four #1. So it wasn't the, not only the original back cover, it wasn't even the right cover. It was a cover to a different comic. They gave it a 0.5. I think I paid $454 for that book. I could easily sell it for $1,200 to $2,000 before a movie is ready to come out. And people laughed at me for that. So if you base everything on what everybody else thinks, you're always going to be afraid to make your own move, and you're going to wait for somebody else's approval to do something. They're not sharing in your profits, and they're not paying for your losses. So it's nice to hear other people's opinions, but don't solely base it just because you're afraid that somebody on the internet might disagree with you. Because let me give you a little secret about the internet. I've been doing videos on YouTube on both my channels now since 2010. I'm going to give you a little secret. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, no matter what you say, there will always be somebody that will disagree or not like you for having your right to your opinion or your point of view or your way of life. It's just that simple. So if you worry more about pleasing everybody else, you will never please yourself. And by that, I don't mean anything perverted. So 13 people still listening. 11 people hit the like button. That is the end of my rant. I would love to let you know. Well, actually, I would love to hear your opinions of what you thought about my choice of books. Remember, all you're doing is just sharing your opinion. You could say you absolutely would never buy any of those books, and you could say I'm absolutely crazy for buying them, and I will respect you for your opinion. But that doesn't mean that's ever going to stop me from making a pouncing on these. And you'll see one day, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 5 years, I'll do another auction. Mark my words, this Hulk #2 with no back cover will absolutely be sold for more than $300 from what I paid for it. We'll see what happens when that happens. But until then, stay tuned. I'm going to shut down this video. I'm going to open up another video so it will not continue from here. I'm going to show the 2 EGS books. Give PGX a try if you haven't tried them. Like I said, if you use the code WeLoveComics free press, after you send in 10 or more books, you can get one of them pressed for free. And if you want to add the Greatest Notes to the back of the slab for $5 charge, just use the code WeLoveComics Greatest Notes. And don't forget, they have the fastest turnaround without spending extra money. They are the cheapest when it comes to grading the books. They have the in-house pressings and dry cleanings, and they also do signature verification. So there's a lot of benefits if you want to give them a try. If you're not into them, that's perfectly fine. All right, guys, once again, here is the thumbnail. I'd love to hear what you think of my AI art. Come back in about another 2 minutes or so, and I will set up another live stream. It won't be this one. If you're interested in seeing the 2 EGS books that I'm sending in to get graded. And if not, don't forget to check out some of the 10 comics that are still left for the auction. I'm giving people until this coming Friday. If you are interested in any of them, you can contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you to the 12 people hitting the like button. Hopefully, I'll see you for part 2, my next video for EGS. That's coming up in a second link in about 2 minutes. And don't forget, it's not only you, it's not only I.